equals 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 The sand sculpture attacked him and Reborn author, Duojin Girl Cat copy. Outsiders all thank Chongqing for hitting the big luck, marrying Qin's Hongaiu, the prince of the Qin family, and being loved by him for 5 years in the palm of his hand. They are a famous loving couple. However, I don't know that Qin's Hongaiu has a lot of dissatisfaction with this marriage. He confided to his friend, he is a good housekeeper, he won't let me smoke or drink, he won't let me go to bars and parties, and he has to set up a door so that I can come back at 10 o'clock. Family. Pay in public food 10 times a week, you can only do more but not less, and it will take more than half an hour, otherwise I will make soup to energize me. I hand in the salary card and bank card, and give me 100 yuan a day. I will give him a few hundred more when he is comfortable. Qin's Hongaiu was angry and wronged Baba again, ducks are more expensive than me. I only serve him. If I did it all over again, I would never marry him. I used to have pocket money of 8 million a month. The prince said to his friend. The day after saying this, Qin's Hongaiu was reborn to the age of 17. At this time, Xie Chongqing was 18 years old. He was so poor that he only had a set of old clothes, his socks were ripped, and his shoes were dirty and glued. He was a well-known poor ghost in the school. When Xie Chongqing's parents came to handle the withdrawal procedures for him, Qin's Hongaiu knew that he was the top student in his grade, and he received scholarships every year. A dropout who only has money in the eyes of reading. Qin's Hongaiu couldn't bear it any longer, he pulled Xie Chongqing into his arms, and said angrily, "Continue reading for me. Our old Qin family has never been a champion, you must continue reading for me." Xie Chongqing raised his eyes and looked at him in confusion. The emotion in his eyes seemed to ask, "Who are you?" Qin's Hongaiu remembered Xie Chongqing's dictatorship after marriage, and shivered for a while, with a stern look on his face, "I'm just a kind person who doesn't want to reveal my name." Later, Qin's Hongaiu asked Xie Chongqing with a shy face, "If we get married, can you give me 1,000 yuan in pocket money every day?" Xie Chongqing. Qin's Hongaiu, 500 is fine. Read the guide. 1. Lord Xiao, Xie Chongqing Xiao, Qin's Hongaiu attacking, probably smart, cold and pretty too. Super sweet cookies 3. Ball collection duck. 10.6 Content label, a soft spot for rebirth sweet Wenchuang when search keywords, protagonist, Xie Chongqing supporting role, Qin's Hongaiu others, the finished article squeamish little crying bag dressed as a villain for collection and subscription. 1 sentence introduction, sand sculpture attack is really fragrant purpose, believe in yourself, be honest with yourself equals 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 equals. Beijing, light mist bar. A man in casual dress was leaning on the sofa. The dark light of the bar hit his face, and he could see that he had a very handsome face. He lowered his eyes and drank glass after glass. After a while, a man with a hair comb came over, sat beside him, scratched the wine bottle on the table with his fingers, and said helplessly, "How much did you drink?" Qin's Hongaiu snorted and said, "I don't get drunk after 1,000 cups." Saying that, he sat up straight and poured a glass of wine for the man behind him, namely Li Jun. "You drink too." Li Jun refused, "Farewell, I'm quitting smoking and drinking, but the one in your family can make you drink like this? Don't kneel on the washboard when you go back." Qin's Hongaiu said, "I have the final say at home now. He doesn't dare to train me. I can drink as much as I want." Li Jun said inexplicably, "Really?" Qin's Hongaiu heard the doubt in his tone, and was a little annoyed, and said in a loud voice, "Of course, I tell you, I used to be too lazy to care about him, so he made his own decisions, but now that I am serious, he knows how good I am." "Already?" Li Jun said, "Oh, the wife Guanyin has turned over to be the master now. This is rare. I have to call some brothers out tomorrow to celebrate together. He added, Tang Ming has opened a new clubhouse, and the girls in it are of high quality. Anyway, your wife can't control you. Do you want to go to have fun together? Qin's Hongaihu said, what a joke, I have a wife. He said bluntly, you are careful to get sick. Li Jun smiled and said, my buddies have physical examinations every 3 or 5 days. It's not my turn to get sick, but don't you think it's a pity that you got married so early? They all like to play, and only Qin's Hongaihu is special. He got married at the age of 22, and it has been 5 years now. There is no airtight wall in this world. Everyone knows that his wife is from a poor background, even a man, and he doesn't know how attractive he is. After listening to Li Jun's words, Qin's Hongaihu drank a few more glasses of wine, and he couldn't hold back his words. There are some things that make me feel uncomfortable. I will only tell you when you are a brother. Li Jun listened, excited, and leaned over, tell me. Qin's Hongaihu was a little drunk, his fair cheeks were slightly red, his eyes were black and he was a man in his 30s, but only Qin's Hongaihu still showed an innocent taste. He lowered his voice, said, my father likes my wife very much. Li Jun, ah? What do you mean? Qin's Hongaihu said, my wife and I knew each other, and it was my father who led the way. He even said harshly that I would not marry him, and when he retire, all the assets of the Qin family would be given to my cousin. Li Jun was startled, for Qin Wengsuan? No way. Everyone knows that Qin Wengsuan is a second-generation ancestor, especially capable of doing things. If the Qin family is handed over to him, it is estimated that he will go bankrupt in a few years. Qin's Hongaihu said, is there still a fake? After I married him, my dad asked him to work in the company. Li Jun was suddenly startled, and had a very bad guess, your dad is going around in circles, isn't it just to give the company to your wife? Qin Zhongyu didn't speak, and Li Jun thought more and more about the possibility, so he asked vaguely, have you ever thought about your wife's background, and your father? Qin's Hongaihu lowered his voice and whispered, I stole my wife's hair and my dad's for identification. There is no blood relationship. Li Jun breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that Qin's Hongaihu had also suspected it. He sneered and said, it should be impossible. Your father, it's impossible for him to do something wrong to you. The two were speechless. Qin's Hongaihu reached out and took the wine bottle, and poured himself a big glass. Li Jun said, you drink less, and I'll take you back when you're drunk, and then you'll have to see your wife's face. Qin's Hongaihu hummed and said, if he dares, I am the head of the family. Li Jun said, yes, yes, you are the head of the family. Qin's Hongaihu raised his neck, drank half a glass of wine, and fell silent again. Li Jun looked at him and saw that his eyes were red and moist. He was startled, old Qin, are you crying? Qin's Hongaihu murmured, I feel uncomfortable. Li Jun patted him on the shoulder, if you really don't like your wife, just get divorced. Qin's Hongaihu said, that won't work. My wife has already taken the position of vice president. Those shareholders who are divorced will make trouble. Li Jun was speechless, the Qin family's crown prince was the first to get involved in this. Qin's Hongaihu said, actually, he is much better than me. Then he said depressedly, I just like to control me too much. I won't let me smoke or drink, I won't be allowed to go to bars and parties, and I have to set up a door so that I can go home at 10 o'clock. Li Jun nodded. He knew this. Qin's Hongaihu's wife, Xie Chongxing, was very controlling. Qin's Hongaihu had no freedom outside. Even at parties between friends, he would call to check the post and let him go home on time. And even pick up people in person when necessary. Li Jun also knew that Xie Chongxing didn't like them, so Li Jun and Qin's Hongaihu's other friends also didn't like Xie Chongxing. It's such a state of disgust. Qin's Hongaihu just said that he is the head of the family, and Xie Chongxing can't control him, but now that he drinks too much, he can't help pouring out those unknown secrets. Paying in public food 10 times a week, it can only be more or less, and it will take more than half an hour or I will let my aunt make soup to make me angry. I hand in the salary card and bank card, and I will be given 100 yuan a day. 100 yuan, what can I do? I will only give a few hundred more when I am comfortable with him. Qin Zhong said more deeply, his eyes became more and more wet, he wiped the corners of his eyes, and said aggrievedly, to be honest, the young master outside is more expensive than me, and everyone has tens of thousands of appearances, and I am cleaner than the young master. I don't know why he cares about me so much. My dad gave me 8 million pocket money a month, and he confiscated it all. Li Jun was stunned when he heard it, he didn't dare to continue listening anymore. He was afraid that Qin Zhong, who had sobered up, would be darkened, so he quickly interrupted him and said, "You've been drinking too much. Hey, give me your phone, and I'll call your wife. Let your wife pick you up." Qin's Hongaihu said, "Don't fight, he's on a business trip, otherwise how would I dare to come out and drink?" Li Jun, who just bragged about being the head of the family, who? Li Jun got up and grabbed his glass, "Stop drinking, I won't send you back if you're drunk." Qin's Hongaihu said angrily, "Did you look down on me? I said I'm not drunk. I can go back by myself." Li Jun. He had to sit down and think about making a room for him later if he got drunk. Qin's Hongaiho continued what he just said and continued, "If I could do it all over again, I would never marry him. If my dad really doesn't want to give me the family business, I will let him recognize my wife as his son, and I will be more a brother. It is better for the Qin family to give my wife than Qin Wengxuan." Li Jun's heart was complicated and he said, "You have such a big heart. Hundreds of billions of family businesses given to outsiders." He also drank some wine along with him. Seeing that Qin's Hongaihu didn't speak for a long time, he turned his head to see that this fellow had already fallen asleep on the table. On this day, the light rain and the sound of the rain swayed in this ancient town, and a faint mist shrouded in the mountains and forests, lingering between the blue tiles and flying eaves, blurring the original simplicity of this ancient town. Because of this wet and rainy day, the wall has regained a lot of moisture, and the thin spring breeze blew in from the window, blowing the calendar on the wall to rustling. Figures, April 2010. In such a fine and gentle spring rain, a young man wearing a bamboo hat and a whitish t-shirt was fetching water from a well with his bare feet. He has a handsome face, white skin, black hair, and black eyes. His body is about 175. He is neither petite nor tall, and he is full of delicacy and delicacy nourished by Jiangnan water towns. His wrists are thin, but he can easily lift a bucket full of water. He stretches out his long white fingers, as if he can see the thick calluses in his palms. This is a pair of hands that are used to farm work. This is the 18-year-old Xie Chongxing. He picked up the pole skillfully, and the 2 buckets of clean water looked so heavy, swaying on his shoulders, the water stirred up, splashed his muddy ankles, and washed out some fair skin. But even so, he finally picked up the water steadily and poured it into the big water tank at home. After going back and forth a few times, the large water tank that was the height of the man was filled. At this time, Xie Chongxing was already hungry. The family wouldn't leave him any meals at this time. He went back to his room, took out a small candy box, opened it, and the change in it was gone. This is not the first time for this kind of thing. Xie Chongxing's expression did not change, he closed the box and put it back. He picked up the pole and walked out the door. He ate 2 bowls of dry rice at Grandma Chen's house next door, at the cost of picking up a tank full of water for Grandma Chen. After doing this, Xie Qiuxu and Lu Xiu also came back. Xie Zian, the younger brother of Xie Chongxing, said as soon as he entered the door, "Mom, the amusement park is really fun, and you will take me there next time." Lu Xiu said, "Fuck it, the instant noodles are sold for 50 yuan a barrel, and you're a prodigal who has to eat for life, and you've wasted so much money. Xie Zian pursed his lips, the taste is different from ordinary ones. It must have been made with good ingredients, or would it be so expensive? Lu Xiu said, what can be different, don't be sloppy. Xie Zian stopped talking. When he saw Xie Chongxing, he called out, Xie Chongxing, did you write my homework for me? Xie Chongxing was accustomed to calling him by his first name. Xie Qiuoxu and Lu Xiu both condoned it, and he did not correct it. He said lightly, no. Xie Zian jumped up, angry and anxious, it's already afternoon, you still don't write it to me. If I can't pay it tomorrow, I'll ask my father not to give you living expenses. Let you drink the northwest wind. Xie Chongxing glanced at him. Xie Qiuoxu did not give him living expenses originally. Xie Qiuoxu didn't feel embarrassed, and said with a stern face, what have you been doing today? Go and do homework for an AN. Xie Chongxing said, do you want me to do the college entrance examination in the future? Xie Qiuoxu frowned and said, what are you talking about? Your brother is much smarter than you. He is a man of great promise. Can you compare with him? You have to be self-aware. Xie Zian added fuel to his jealousy, I just don't have time to do my homework. I can write anything like an exam and I can make it into the top 10 in the school. Unlike someone, even though I'm in Nanyang, it's useless to rank more than 800 in the school. I'm afraid that I won't even be able to pass the college entrance examination, so I don't think there is any need to study. Lu Xiu listened and agreed, there is no need to study in this way. If you still think about the good of your family, go out to work and share it with your family. Your father is so tired from work and has to support the three of us. How tired? Chen isn't that kid 2 years younger than you, working in Guangdong and getting $3,000 or $4,000 back every month. Xie Chongxing did not speak. Lu Xiu hated him when he looked like he didn't get in the oil and salt. He pouted and said, hurry up and write an An's homework. We have to go out in the evening. You can solve the dinner yourself. After speaking, he went back to the room with Xie Qiuoxu. Xie Zian smiled proudly at Xie Chongxing, this is my home. If you don't obey, I have 100 ways to make you look good. You'd better be good, or I will tell my parents that you will drop out of school. After Xie Zian finished speaking, he also entered the room. There was only Xie Chongxing left in the living room. He looked around and saw that there was no place for him in this small two-bedroom, one-bedroom home. His room was just a small room transformed from a balcony. Is this home? Xie Chongxing thought to himself, no, this is not. At the same time, Qin's Hongaihu stepped barefoot on the Persian carpet of tens of thousands of dollars per meter at home, and looked at his father Qin Xiangqian with a strange expression on his obviously immature face. Qin Xiangqian looked at this son who was not pleasing to the eye. He was embarrassed to kick him when there were guests, so he said patiently, why don't you wear shoes, there are no rules. Then he turned his head to the guest and said, this child is used to being loose at home. I can't control it anymore. The guest smiled and said, Mr. Qin and young Master Ling have a really good relationship. Qin Xiangqian said, where is this? This kid is very skinny, and I also have a headache. Qin's Hongaihu stared at Qin Xiangqian's lush hair, and couldn't help but stretch out his hand and grab it. Qin Xiangqian said angrily, what are you doing? Qin's Hongaihu said, Dad, so you haven't balked at this time. Qin Xiangqian. Qin Xiangqian said angrily, go and do your homework. Don't let me see you. Qin's Hongaihu ran away quickly. Qin Qiang coughed a few times, and said, this child is always talking nonsense. The guest couldn't help but glanced at Qin Qianqian's forehead a few more times, and smiled awkwardly but politely. Qin's Hongaihu ran back to his room, looked at the furnishings in the room, and was quite sure that he was indeed reborn, and he was reborn 10 years ago. Even if Qin's Hongaihu was drunk, he would not cut off the film, so he still remembered what he and Li Jun said. He was very embarrassed about this, and he casually told about himself and Xie Chongxing. Fortunately, he was reborn, and he didn't have to look at Li Jun's meaningful eyes. Qin's Hongaihu threw himself on the bed, very happy. He had 10 years in vain, and he still had freedom. He clenched his fist, full of ambition. In this life, I will not marry Xie Chongxing. I want to be free. The holiday was over. Xie Chongxing packed up early in the morning and went to school. In fact, the home is not far from the school. There is a direct bus, less than 30 minutes by car, which is very convenient, but Xie Chongxing still chose to stay. The number 1 middle school he attended was a newly built school. Because of the sufficient capital, he was willing to spend a lot of money. Therefore, the facade of the school was grand, and there were 2 3-meter-high stone elephants sitting in the town, which looked very imposing. In addition to school facilities, the school's shareholders have also spent a lot of money on teachers. All aspects are integrated. In addition, it is not a public school, so the tuition fee is naturally very expensive. It costs 8 or 9,000 for a semester. No matter what, he could not afford to study. However, he was exempted from tuition fees, and even received scholarships and living allowances, just because he entered the city with the first grade in the high school entrance examination. The Xie family did not know what his grades were, and only believed the surface revealed by Xie Chongxing. Because of this, Xie Chongxing didn't feel too embarrassed. Many times, Xie Chongxing wonders if he is the biological son of Xie Qiuxu and Lu Xiu, but his face combines all the advantages of Xie Qiuxu and Lu Xiu. Looking at the face in the mirror, he can't really tell. I am not their child. Xie Chongxing didn't understand why there was such a big difference between the 2 children, but he had learned not to expect it. When he packed up and was about to go out, it was still early. Xie Qiuxu walked out of the room shirtless, glanced at Xie Chongxing at the door, and suddenly felt a little fatherly love, and asked, "Go to school?" Xie Chongxing paused for a while, then nodded. Xie Qiuxu asked, "Are you rich?" Xie Chongxing raised his face to look at him. Xie Qiuxu's eyes met his dark pupils, and turned away again. "If you don't have any money, ask you to borrow it from teacher Wang, and then you can pay her back when you're good." Xie Chongxing said, "Let's go." After speaking, he opened the door and left without looking back. Xie Qiuxu drank water and went back to bed. Lu Xiu asked in a daze, "He left? You didn't give him money, did you?" Xie Qiuxu said, "I don't have money, so Mr. Wang is not very good to him, and he also subsidizes Chongxing to go to school. I think she can be her son." Lu Xiu snorted and said, "That boy who is unfamiliar with the witty-eyed wolf, spending a penny on him makes me feel panic." Xie Qiuxu said, "I asked you to give it away at first, but you were sitting on the ground and raising the price, just for 5,000 yuan, and smashed people into their hands. Don't you deserve it now?" Lu Xiu said, "What do you know, that Jing guy looks very rich and wears a gold watch, so he's still $5,000 short." Xie Qiuxu said, "If you don't have a lot of money, can you leave if you pay 5,000 yuan? Lu Xiu said angrily, "Forget it, I'm too lazy to tell you, go to sleep." Xie Qiuxu stopped talking, and the room fell into silence again. Xie Chongxing was unaware of the disputes between his parents. He came to the school very early, and the school gate had not yet opened. He looked at people very calm and quiet, and he also had a crazy side in his bones. He walked from the lavish gate to the towering fence, raised his head and glanced, then took off the backpack behind him, threw it into the fence, and then retreated. In the last few steps, after the run-up, he climbed up the 2.5-meter-high fence. At this time, the sky is already bright, and after another hour, it will be early to read. When Xie Chongxing returned to the dormitory, someone had already woken up. He was reading a book on the bed with a small night light on. When he saw Xie Chongxing coming back, he pressed his voice and said, "I'm back." Xie Chongxing nodded to him, turned to open his cabinet, and started to clean up. He had already moved very lightly, but someone still shouted in a fit of anger, "It's so noisy, and let no one sleep." Xie Chongxing paused for a while before continuing to clean up. When the time came, the dorms knocked on the door one by one and called to get up early, and then all the people in the dormitory got up one by one. Number 1 middle school is rich, so the dormitory is very bright, with a dormitory for 4 people, a dedicated private bathroom, and an air conditioner and water heater, which can be described as extremely luxurious. The boy who greeted Xie Chongxing wears glasses, looks gentle and handsome, and is tall. He is the representative of the math class in the class, called Zhong Yiming. The one with a big temper is called Fu Donglin. He is average in appearance, but has developed limbs. He is a sports student. There is another one, Zhao Zhao, who is short in stature, but has a delicate and beautiful appearance. If he does not look at his height and personality, his face should be quite attractive to girls. Xie Chongxing has a cold personality, is not very talkative, and is not keen on communication, so he only has a good relationship with Zhong Yiming, and his relationship with other people is not good. Unlike other boys' dormitories, their relationship is not necessarily harmonious, so after getting up early, they didn't have much to say. Such days are actually not too different from usual. The very ordinary high school life is the peaceful life that Xie Chongxing has been looking forward to for a long time. This weekend, Xie Chongxing asked the head teacher, Teacher Wang, to call Xie Qiuxu and tell Xie Qiuxu that he needed tutoring so he didn't have to go home. After Mr. Wang explained to Xie Qiuxu, he hung up the phone and said to Xie Chongxing, "Talk to your father." She didn't ask Xie Chongxing why he didn't go home. In the past 2 years, she has basically understood the situation in his home. After thanking her, Xie Chongxing went back to the bedroom. In the bedroom, Fu Donglin was talking loudly about the fact that he was going to have a birthday party at the Jinyu Hotel, and the boys in the other dormitories also crowded over, which was very lively. When Fu Donglin saw Xie Chongxing coming over, the smile on his face faded slightly, and the corners of his lips curled again, his eyes flickered with malicious light, and he asked loudly, "Xie Chongxing, are you coming to my birthday? If you come, I will ask someone to add him." A chair. Xie Chongxing glanced at him and asked, "Do you want me to come?" Fu Donglin sneered, his face was not good looking, "What are you talking about? Of course I want you to come." Xie Chongxing said, "Well, I will come." Fu Donglin said deliberately, "Then do you have the money to give a birthday present? Don't give me anything for $1 or $2. I'll be very embarrassed that way." Xie Chongxing finally raised his face and looked directly at Fu Donglin. Fu Donglin wanted to see his embarrassed expression, but there was only calm on Xie Chongxing's face. He seemed to think for a few seconds and said, "No, I have money." Everyone was there, and Fu Donglin didn't want to let Xie Chongxing go so easily. He deliberately raised his voice and said, "No way, you have money? Where did you get the money? Why don't you even buy a pair of shoes when you have money? I see that you have been wearing these shoes for a long time, and I feel sorry for you." When this was said, everyone laughed. At this time, Zhong Yiming came out of the toilet and said to Fu Donglin with a stern face, "Fu Donglin, you are enough, a birthday is a big fanfare, for fear that others will not know that you are rich." Fu Donglin said, "Then it's a fact that I have money. Unlike some people, they just pretend to be arrogant even if they are poor." With that said, Fu Donglin turned his head and said to Xie Chongxing, "I'm not talking about you, Xie Dexuba." Xie Chongxing said, "Well, I know." Fu Donglin grinned, smiled coldly, and said, "Then you can remember to come, remember to bring gifts." Xie Chongxing replied, "Yes, I wish you a happy birthday in advance." After the people dispersed, only Xie Chongxing and Zhou Yiming were left in the dormitory. Zhou Yiming said, Fu Donglin is too vengeful. Xie Chongxing put the exercise book and pen on the table one by one, and did not speak when he heard Zhou Yiming's words. He and Fu Donglin had a long history of grievances. Once in a monthly exam, Fu Donglin asked him to copy the exam papers to him. Xie Chongxing did not agree. Let go, and the feud is over. After that, Fu Donglin also stabbed at each other from time to time. Of course, when Zhou Yiming was there, Fu Donglin would not do too much. Zhou Yiming looked at Xie Chongxing and asked, Do you still have money? If not, I still have some. I will pay you back when you have money. Xie Chongxing said, No, thank you, I have money. Zhou Yiming said, Don't force it, I can borrow it from you. Xie Chongxing raised his eyes moved slightly, and he said softly, I really don't need to, thank you. Zhou Yiming didn't ask any more questions. He also took out the exercise book and said to Xie Chongxing, Let's do the questions together. It's rare that you don't go home on weekends, so I can ask you questions that you don't know. Xie Chongxing replied softly. On the other side, Qin's Hongaihu was playing cards with Li Jun in the bar. Li Jun is 1 year old and Qin's Hongaihu is 1 year old. 18-year-old Li Jun also looks like a handsome young man, wearing a trendy brand, looking at the infinite youth. The head that always combs the back is still covered with fine bangs, revealing a pair of beautiful fox eyes, but it is not as smooth as 10 years later, and it is still a little immature. Looking at Li Jun like this, Qin's Hongaihu felt an inexplicable sense of superiority in his heart. Ah, I won again. He played the last few cards in his hand and won. Li Jun said, You've already won a few rounds. Leave me some money, or you won't be able to pay for the drinks later. As soon as he finished speaking, another mutual friend of theirs, Mou, found the two of them. Seeing that they were playing cards, he said incredulously, Come here and you will play cards here. Li Jun spread his hands, I'm coaxing my ancestors. Qin's Hongaihu said proudly, You can't beat me. Li Jun snorted, I can't beat you. Mou said, Stop playing, two very beautiful young ladies have just arrived, don't you want to meet each other? Li Jun's eyes lit up, I'm excited to say this. He threw the card and looked at Qin's Hongaihu, Ancestor, are you going? You haven't slept with a woman, have you? Go and try it. Qin's Hongaihu was about to speak when Li Jun said, Don't say that you can't sleep with women when you are underage. In our circle, a woman is a man when she sleeps. I am a man when I was 14, and you are 17. And a child. Qin's Hongaihu. He has been a man 1,000 times a long time ago. Cannot say. He has been wandering for a week. After the initial indulgence, he is now inexplicably empty. Li Jun saw that he was silent and asked, Will you go? If the two sisters agree, I will give her more money and I will teach on the spot. Qin's Hongaihu, you play too aggressively, be careful of getting sick. Li Jun said indifferently, I don't know anyone who gets sick. I have a fixed bed partner. The most recent Beiying school flower is clean. I'm still wearing a condom. Facing this group of friends who couldn't control his lower body, Qin's Hongaihu often felt that he was not perverted enough to be incompatible with them. In fact, Xie Chongxing didn't let him stay with them and play with them for no reason. They all played too much. They changed bed partners, slept 3p-4p with each other, and slept in groups. Eating is as usual and simple. Qin's Hongaihu grew up with them, and still insists that he is a normal person, so this is the only one who refuses to join in with them, and feels subtly complacent that he is still a virgin at the age of 22. A person who cherishes his body like him is a good boy who is responsible for himself and his future significant other. Because of this sense of self-cleaning pride, he was not moved by Li Jun's words, and there was a little, really only a little, thanks to Chongxing. After hearing Qin's Hongaihu say this, Xie Chongxing calmly said thank you. Li Jun tugged at Qin's Hongaihu, let's go, the 10 o'clock flight, you can still sleep in the car for a while. Qin's Hongaihu looked at Xie Chongxing, and his eyes revealed reluctance that he hadn't even noticed it himself. He didn't even look at Li Jun, touched the back of his neck, and asked, are you a student of Nanyang? Xie Chongxing raised his eyes slightly and gave a soft Qin's Hongaihu asked again, senior year. Xie Chongxing looked at him and nodded lightly. Qin's Hongaihu looked at his well-behaved appearance, his heart trembled again, his Adam's apple slid a few times, and he took out his mobile phone in a panic, can you save my phone number? If you have anything, you can call me. Xie Chongxing clearly showed a trace of doubt in his eyes. To him, Qin's Hongaihu was just a stranger, but it was intriguing when a stranger behaved like this to him. Xie Chongxing paused and said, I don't have a cell phone. Li Jun next to him burst out laughing. In his opinion, this is almost a rejection in disguise. Who would not have a mobile phone at this time? Qin's Hongaihu glared at Li Jun, immediately retracted the phone, and turned to look at the hotel manager, please bring me a pen and paper, thank you. The manager responded immediately, and soon brought Qin's Hongaihu paper and a pen. Qin's Hongaihu quickly wrote down his phone number and handed it to Xie Chongxing, his eyes flickering slightly, this is my call, I will answer it whenever you call. Under the watchful eyes of the public, Xie Chongxing paused for a moment and reached out to take the piece of paper. Qin's Hongaihu breathed a sigh of relief, his expression changed, staring at the two servants, and said harshly, you better be honest with me, if I know you are bullying him, I will let you hang out in City A. Go down. Li Jun kept laughing beside him. Qin's Hongaihu couldn't hold back his smiling face, so he raised his foot and stepped on Li Jun. Li Jun screamed, Qin's Hongaihu, you! This shoe is a global limited edition. There are only 20 pairs in the world. You stomped on me with one foot. Qin's Hongaihu turned around and said, let's go. Li Jun kicked his knee angrily, Qin's Hongaihu stopped, turned his head and said to Xie Chongxing, I'll call when I have something. Xie Chongxing nodded. Qin's Hongaihu's eyes swept across his fair and handsome face, his heart seemed to be filled with bubbles, fluttering, slightly itchy, he coughed, turned his head and said quickly, goodbye. He almost fled to the front of the luxury car, opened the door and sat in. The two boys next to Xie Chongxing whispered, can you tell what this car is? There's a car logo on the front of the car, just look it up and you'll know what car it is. Saying that, he actually took out his mobile phone to check, damn, it's a Lamborghini. Let me see the price of this one, more than 9 million. Isn't it? More than 9 million per car. Only 5 cars of this model have been released worldwide, and it is also a limited edition. The two boys stopped their mouths and looked at Xie Chongxing in unison, their tone still cautious, brother Xie, you are so stylish, you actually know that kind of rich man. Xie Chongxing watched the car go away without saying a word. A boy scratched his face and whispered, we just listened to Brother Fu's words. We don't really have any opinion on you. If Brother Fu has any small actions in the future, we can tell you. Another boy nodded as if smashing garlic, and stretched out his finger to swear, I am loyal to Brother Xie now. Xie Chongxing didn't respond to this. He squeezed the paper with Qin's Hongaihu's phone number written on it into a ball and stuffed it into the school uniform pocket. Qin's Hongaihu sat in the car over there, and reluctantly clawed at the car window to see Xie Chongxing. When he saw Xie Chongxing put his phone number in his pocket, the corners of his lips couldn't help curling up. Li Jun sat next to him, looked at his appearance, and asked, do you really know him? Qin's Hongaihu said impatiently, I know. Li Jun looked at his face carefully and said, you're blushing, hey, something is wrong with you. Qin's Hongaihu retracted his gaze at Xie Chongxing, and said slightly annoyed, what's wrong with me? Li Jun shook his head, anyway, something is wrong with you. Qin's Hongaihu sat up straight and said, don't think about it, I just can't stand him being bullied. This sentence is also said to himself, even if he doesn't want to have that intersection with Xie Chongxing, but Xie Chongxing has been his wife, he has to take care of him to some extent. How can his wife be bullied by outsiders at will? Li Jun fastened his seatbelt and leaned back, I don't think much about it, I want to catch up on sleep, please don't disturb me. Qin's Hongaiu responded casually, and his thoughts began to diverge. Will Xie Chongxing call him, when will he be called, and what tone should he use to speak to him? At that time, he still has to be indifferent to Xie Chongxing. If Xie Chongxing is too gentle, Xie Chongxing is moved and likes him, what should he do if he wants to marry him? Qin's Hongaihu thinks that he is quite attractive, if he accidentally steals Xie Chongxing's youthful heart, it will be bad. Therefore, he made up his mind to treat Xie Chongxing casually and indifferently. However, Xie Chongxing did not call him for the next few days. Qin's Hongaihu, who looked at his mobile phone in a daze from time to time. Why didn't he call him? Naturally, Xie Chongxing didn't pay much attention to what Qin's Hongaihu said, and even the sticky note with Qin's Hongaihu's phone number disappeared into which book he clipped it. Since returning from Fu Donglin's birthday party, Xie Chongxing's life has not been very smooth. Probably because the plan was in vain, Fu Donglin saw him more and more disliked, and his behavior became more and more excessive. Just like at this moment, Xie Chongxing reached out and touched his quilt, which was really wet. Zhou Yiming walked into the door and saw him standing motionless by the bed. When he came over, he saw a dark stain on the blue sheet. He was stunned and asked, how did it get wet? Xie Chongxing did not speak. Zhou Yiming had some guesses, and turned his head to ask Fu Donglin, who was playing games on the bed, Fu Donglin, did you do it? Fu Donglin denied it, which I did you see it was me? Don't frame others without evidence. Zhou Yiming was a little angry, apart from you, who would target Xie Chongxing in this dormitory? Fu Donglin said, why don't you say Zhao Zhao is a sissy? Just think it's me. Zhou Yiming wanted to say something, but Xie Chongxing reached out to stop him and shook his head at him. Zhou Yiming blushed slightly and said, change the dormitory, I'll go tell the dormitory. Fu Donglin was a little proud, if I don't change it, I love this dorm. He was very happy to be disgusting to Xie Chongxing. Zhou Yiming looked at his smug face, couldn't help grinding his teeth, gave Xie Chongxing a soothing look, and said in a low voice, I'll go to the dormitory. After saying that, he walked out the door. Fu Donglin got out of bed and said slowly, I'll also go and tell the dorm manager that I won't change beds. After he finished speaking, he also followed Zhou Yiming out. The boy in the next bedroom stuck his head out and said cautiously to Xie Chongxing, Brother Xie, I have something to tell you. The boy was one of the attendants who was going to send Xie Chongxing back to school a few days ago, called Chu Yi. Xie Chongxing only paused, then followed Chu Yi out. Chu Yi found a remote stairwell, beckoned to Xie Chongxing, and let him go there. At the end, he stuck his head out and looked around to make sure no one was coming, so he said to Xie Chongxing mysteriously with his voice down, Brother Xie. In fact, I've long been uncomfortable with Fu Donglin, so don't worry, I'm on your side. Xie Chongxing said calmly, what do you want to say to me? Chu Yi said, it's like this, Brother Fu has come up with a new trick to deal with you. Saying that, he took out his phone and handed it to Xie Chongxing. Xie Chongxing reached out and took it, his eyes fell on the phone, which happened to be a group chat interface. Xie Chongxing's eyes narrowed, and the hand holding the phone squeezed slightly. He swiped up slowly, perusing all of their chats. In the group, someone said, Brother Fu hates Xie Chongxing so much, or let him sleep. Your uncle is at school, shouldn't it be difficult? Fu Donglin replied, you know the shit, I'm going to disgust him in front of him. They are academic bullies with high vision, so maybe they didn't take you in their eyes. Fu Donglan sent a string of. Someone else said, I see that Zhou Yiming always speaks for Xie Chongxing. Xie Chongxing doesn't kiss anyone, so he has a good relationship with Zhou Yiming. Maybe it's a bit tricky. Fu Donglan asked, what's the trick? That's it, pie trade. What do you mean, tell me clearly. That's it, gay. This word obviously shocked Fu Donglan's three views. What the hell? The man said, Brother Fu, don't you know, the world is in chaos now. Some men like men and like to engage with men. Maybe they have this kind of relationship. Fu Donglan made a vomit expression, disgusting. Does anyone really do this? The man said, isn't it? In my previous school, there were gays who wrote confession letters to male classmates, and they were posted on the bulletin board. It caused a lot of trouble, and the reputation was bad, so I dropped out of school. Brother Fu really hates him, it's not easy to let him drop out of school. Fu Donglan was obviously moved, but that guy Zhou Yiming is also very rich, so it's not easy to mess with. What's so difficult about this? The law doesn't blame the public. You take a few intimate photos of the two of them, stir it up on the forum, and then make a few more black stories. Won't his reputation stink? Fu Donglan said, it's a good idea. When the time comes, you guys will send me a post to stir up the water, and don't make it too fake. The poor guy doesn't have a mobile phone and can't find it. When the trouble gets bigger, he will explain everything he wants. No one will believe him. Xie Chongxing returned the phone to Chu Yi, his chest heaving slightly. Chu Yi peeped at his face and whispered, I really can't stand his insidious tricks. You learn so well, and you don't mess with him, and I don't know why you keep targeting you. Xie Chongxing said calmly, thank you for telling me, but there is one thing I have to explain, I don't know that person. Chu Yi laughed, it's not because of Lamborghini that I became a spy. I can't stand Fu Donglan's use of such disgusting tricks. Although I'm not good at studying, I still admire university tyrants like you. He continued, Brother Fu wet your bed just to force you to sleep with Zhou Yiming. I will definitely take an intimate photo of the two of you, and then put it on the forum to tell the truth. Be careful. Xie Chongxing nodded and said, I know, thank you. Back in the dormitory, both Zhou Yiming and Fu Donglan came back. Zhou Yiming's expression was gloomy, but Fu Donglan had a smug look on his face. Looking at this picture, Xie Chongxing knew the result. Sure enough, Zhou Yiming said apologetically to Xie Chongxing, I'm sorry, the dormitory does not allow me to change dorms. Xie Chongxing nodded and said, it's okay. His eyes fell on Fu Donglan, and he said to Zhou Yiming, close the door. Zhou Yiming hesitated for a moment, but still reached out and closed the bedroom door. Xie Chongxing clenched his fists, his knuckles rattled, and with such a voice, he looked at Fu Donglan and asked, do you want to hit me? The smug smile on Fu Donglan's face subsided slightly, what do you mean? Xie Chongxing nodded, I understand. As soon as the words fell, Xie Chongxing did something shocking, and he started to deal with Donglan. An hour later, the two of them reported to the dean together. The dean was a serious-looking middle-aged man. He looked at Xie Chongxing, then at Fu Donglan, and asked, who did it first? Fu Donglan was the first to answer, he made the first move. Xie Chongxing was silent. The dean looked at Fu Donglan displeased and said, I didn't ask you. Turning his head to Xie Chongxing, he said genially, Xie Chongxing, tell me. Xie Chongxing raised his eyes, glanced at Fu Donglan, and whispered, it was he who moved first. Fu Donglan was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Xie Chongxing to lie, and hurriedly said, he lied, obviously he was the one who made the first move. The dean ignored him and asked Xie Chongxing, I heard that he deliberately poured water on your bed. Xie Chongxing nodded. The dean asked, has anything similar happened before? Xie Chongxing glanced at Fu Donglin, then lowered his head quickly and did not speak. Seeing this, the dean softened his tone and said, "Don't be afraid, speak out boldly, the school and teachers are your backing, and our school will never allow campus bullying." After he finished speaking, he gave Fu Donglin a cold look. Fu Donglin. Fu Donglin finally realized the problem. No wonder Xie Chongxing would do it, so he wanted to make a big deal? Although Fu Donglin disliked Xie Chongxing, he was only limited to making small troubles and disgusting each other. Unexpectedly, Xie Chongxing became nervous this time, and actually made this matter a big deal. Being sick, Fu Donglin scolded viciously in his heart, with anger on his face. He said like a small quail, "Teacher, there is no such thing as campus bullying, otherwise you can ask other students. Xie Chongxing and I are both roommates. How could I bully him?" After hearing this, Xie Chongxing silently rolled up his sleeves slowly, revealing the bruises on his arms, raised his eyes again, and looked directly at the dean, revealing the wound on his face. The dean noticed his injuries and said angrily, "You can say that? Look at what you've beaten Xie classmate. You ask your parents to come over, immediately, immediately." Fu Donglin glared at Xie Chongxing resentfully and stopped talking. The two head teachers Wang Yuxiu and Zhou Yiming rushed over. The dean and Wang Yuxiu explained the situation. Wang Yuxiu looked at Xie Chongxing and asked Zhou Yiming, "Is that what you told Teacher Lu?" Zhou Yiming nodded and said nonsense with his eyes open, "I saw it with both eyes." It was Fu Donglin who moved first, and he had been bullying Xie Chongxing before, and he just soiled Xie Chongxing's bed. Fu Donglin exclaimed angrily, "You lie too. Ask yourself, who moved first?" Zhou Yiming said, "It turns out that you still ask yourself this word." Fu Donglin felt his sarcasm, his face flushed red, and his eyes were extraordinarily hostile. Everyone in the political and religious office and Wang Yuxiujian looked at Fu Donglin's expression and already knew the answer in their hearts. Fu Donglin was left at the political and educational office, and Xie Chongxing and Wang Yuxiu left the political and educational office together. Wang Yuxiu said first, "Why didn't you tell the teacher about such a big thing as Fu Donglin?" Xie Chongxing whispered, "There is nothing to say." Wang Yuxiu sighed in his heart and said, "Come to my office, I have potions there." Xie Chongxing didn't refuse. Zhou Yiming scratched his head and said, "Then I'll go back first, it's still early, I'll help you wash and dry the sheets." Xie Chongxing said, "No, I'll do it myself." Zhou Yiming pushed his glasses and said, "Don't be polite to me, the washing machine will be done soon." Xie Chongxing did not refuse again. He went to Wang Yuxiu's office. Wang Yuxiu took out the ointment, squeezed a little, and wiped the wound on his face. The cut on Xie Chongxing's face was quite long, extending from the corner of his mouth to his cheek. But it also looks scary. Wang Yuxiu was annoyed while applying medicine to him. Hitting people don't slap people in the face. Why does Fu Donglin like to scratch people with his fingernails like little girls? Xie Chongxing didn't expect that Fu Donglin would slap his face, and left obvious scars, which is very stupid. Such a beautiful face, don't leave scars, you have to take good care of it. Wang Yuxiu finished medicine for his face and asked, "Where else is there hurt?" Xie Chongxing pulled up his clothes, revealing his slender waist. Wang Yuxiu took a look and saw that his waist and abdomen were all green here and there, leaving his fair skin intact. "It can be seen, and suddenly my heart jumps up, this is all from Fu Donglin." Xie Chongxing gave a soft of course he also hit Donglin with a heavy hand, but they all hit the places where it was painful enough but not easy to show traces. Even if Fu Donglin lifts his clothes to reveal his body, there will be no obvious traces. Wang Yuxiu took a few deep breaths, changed the red potion, and gave him the medicine lightly. Xie Chongxing's body trembled slightly, and Wang Yuxiu asked, "It hurts?" Xie Chongxing replied, "It doesn't hurt." Wang Yuxiu glanced at him and relaxed a lot. After giving Xie Chongxing the medicine, Wang Yuxiu said, the political and educational department will soon get the results. If there is no accident, it will be a big punishment, and the class will be suspended for review. I will arrange it in the dormitory. Xie Chongxing said solemnly, thank you, teacher. Wang Yuxiu pondered the sentence and said, at your age, all you have to do is study, and leave the rest to the teacher. Do you understand? Xie Chongxing said, I know, thank you teacher. After coming out of Wang Yuxiu's office, Xie Chongxing went straight back to the bedroom. That night, Fu Donglin did not come back. Zhou Yiming said to Xie Chongxing, I heard that Fu Donglin was brought home by his parents. Seeing that Xie Chongxing didn't seem to care too much, he changed his mind and asked, does your body hurt now? Xie Chongxing replied, it doesn't hurt. Zhou Yiming smiled gently and said, I didn't expect you to do anything to Fu Donglin. He paused for a moment and said, it's not down yet. Xie Chongxing's eyes fluctuated a little, it's just chickens pecking at each other. Zhou Yiming was slightly surprised when he heard it, and said in a low voice, you can actually joke. Xie Chongxing glanced at him with a strange look, I'm human too. Why not kidding? Zhou Yiming heard his unfinished meaning, squinted and smiled. The monthly test results came out, and Xie Chongxing still ranked first in the grade. Zhou Yiming's grades are also good, ranking 5th in the grade. Zhou Yiming asked Xie Chongxing, the results are out, do you want to go out and relax? Xie Chongxing thought for a few seconds and nodded, recently, a new set of Skang rolls has been released, I'll go check it out. Zhou Yiming was stunned for a moment and said, let's go have a look together then. He didn't expect that relaxation would turn into visiting the bookstore together. Zhou Yiming was a little helpless, but he worked tirelessly to accompany Xie Chongxing to the bookstore. In the end, Xie Chongxing returned with a reward. Now there are only 3 Xie Chongxing left in dormitory 401, and Fu Donglin moved to the dormitory on the 3rd floor. He was punished with a punishment, and he would be suspended for half a month. At this time, the two could hardly meet. It made Xie Chongxing's ears a lot cleaner. He was sitting on the edge of the bed packing up the books. A sheet of paper that had been softened and folded well slipped from an English dictionary and fell to the ground. Xie Chongxing looked down, stretched out his hand to pick it up, and slowly unfolded it. On it was written a name, and a string of phone numbers. Zhou Yiming approached with the wash basin, saw what he was looking at, and asked casually, what are you looking at? Xie Chongxing shook his head, nothing. This time I put the paper on the table. Qin's Hongaiu, are you kidding me? As soon as Qin's Hongaiu answered the phone, he heard Li Jun's unsteady voice. Qin's Hongaiu was playing games with his iPad and said, I'm starting a group, I'm not joking. Be serious. Li Jun said angrily, then why don't you tell me first if you want to transfer? Qin's Hongaiu said, I forgot. God forgot. Li Jun said, your dad agrees. Qin's Hongaiu said, I agree. He is my only son. It's not what I say. Li Jun was speechless. After a while, he asked, where are you going? Qin's Hongaiu replied, you don't know that school, don't ask. Li Jun said, I asked where you are. Don't fight me haha. Qin's Hongaiu had no choice but to answer, Nanyang High School in City A, haven't you heard of it? Li Jun was stunned for a moment, what kind of broken school, are you catching up? Qin's Hongaiu didn't answer. Wait, I have an impression. The last time we went to that City A, the classmate we met was from this school, right? Qin's Hongaiu said with a guilty conscience, I don't know, I just want to change the environment. I checked it out casually, and I feel that this school is very good. Fart. Li Jun, who has always been self-sufficient, exclaimed. Qin's Hongaiu's heart suddenly jumped into his throat, and then he heard Li Jun say, the school is as good as you are now. Qin's Hongaiu suddenly let out a breath, he touched his chest, Why is his heart beating so fast? He said perfunctorily, the school is really good, I think it's good. Li Jun said, to be honest, is it because of the few of us? Although I always push girls for you, I didn't force you if you didn't want them, right? And those girls are all clean, I've never touched them. I didn't tell you to go to the party. When someone asked you to invite you, I pushed it for you. You need to be clean, and I will protect you. You don't know what you're entering. I'll help you watch. He spoke a little incoherently, and his tone was a little off. Qin's Hongyu hurriedly said, it's not because of you, I just want to change the environment. Li Jun interrupted him, you mean the environment with us is not good? Qin's Hongyu. His wife is not as good as him. Qin's Hongyu said, it's not like that, okay, let me tell you the truth. I have someone I care about in that school, and I have to go see him. Oh? Someone you like? Li Jun's tone instantly became normal. Qin's Hongyu felt as if he had been fooled, but he didn't think about it at this time. He followed his words and replied, no, don't think too much. Li Jun was entangled, so what is the relationship? Qin's Hongyu thought about it for a while and said seriously, maybe it's a bit like the relationship between mother and son. Li Jun was stunned, he remembered that Qin's Hongyu was a single-parent family a long time ago. Qin's Hongyu said, my mother takes care of me very fiercely. Li Jun. Qin's Hongyu, so my parents divorced, I insisted on my father, but my mother is still my mother after the divorce, are you right? Li Jun was confused, what are you talking about, what does that boy have to do with your mother? Qin's Hongyu said, you really are talking clichés. Li Jun simply admitted, yes, I'm talking in a cliché, I can't think of any reason for you to transfer other than that boy. Qin's Hongyu vehemently denied it, it's not true, I and him are just, I can't let go of my mother, can I? You understand this feeling, right? Li Jun, no, I don't understand. Qin's Hongyu said earnestly, a big man, if he doesn't even care about his mother, is he still a human? Isn't that no different from a beast? He continued in an instructive tone, Li Jun, are we friends? If you are friends, you should support me to be a man of the sky, not a beast. Li Jun, no, how come you still have the habit of recognizing your mother? Li Jun felt that if he went on, Qin's Hongyu would be equated with perverts in his heart. Not really not. Li Jun hung up the phone in despair. Qin's Hongyu also thought about the decision to transfer for a long time, almost thinking about eating and sleeping. According to the original plan, it was actually better to draw a clear line with Xie Chongxing. He is very good at eating, drinking, and having fun, and spending money is fierce. Now because he is under the age of 18, his father Qin Xiangqian only gives him 100,000 yuan of pocket money every month. Can spend until the end of the month in extreme poverty, and then secretly swipe his dad's supplementary card. Of course, a large part of the money spent is unnecessary, because he basically pays the bill when he goes out to play with his friends. In the eyes of Xie Chongxing from his predecessors, this is probably a very unreasonable thing, but Qin Zhong has more money and has become accustomed to the feeling of being a big brother. This way of spending money made Xie Chongxing confiscated his card, and he was only willing to give him 100 yuan a day. Even his father closed his eyes and refused to stand up for him. Qin's Hongyu was afraid of losing face in front of his friends, so he didn't participate in many parties. Every time he watched them go out to play parties in the circle of friends, he felt miserable. The more miserable he is, the more it makes Xie Chongxing so tyrannical. Qin's Hongyu also tried to please Xie Chongxing at the beginning. He felt that he was very hard-working. He was so loose that he gave him a rare smile, took out 3 red bills from his wallet, put them on the bedside table, and said to him, buy yourself something delicious. Qin's Hongyu. Grass. A whole night. A whole night. Countless blood and sweat, only 300 yuan in exchange. Every time Qin's Hongyu recalled this scene, he clenched his big fists tightly in anger. He was too bullying. He was his man after all. Does he have to be so mean? Qin's Hongyu remembered how miserable Xie Chongxing was under Xie Chongxing in his previous life, and remembered that Xie Chongxing was only an 18-year-old kid in this life, and finally made up his mind to transfer to Xie Chongxing's school. It doesn't matter whether he takes care of him or not, he mainly wants to find a place in Xie Chongxing. It's a battle of dignity. You can only win, not lose. The weather in the past few days has been a bit repetitive. Yesterday, the sun was shining brightly, and it was so hot that one could wear short-sleeved shorts. Xie Chongxing wears school uniforms all year round. The school uniforms of Nanyang High School are no different from other schools. They are still the most common blue and white school uniforms. Of course you can wear it now. During recess, a boy quickly ran into the classroom and said loudly, "Someone has transferred over." Everyone was stunned for a moment, and the girl by the door said, "No, it's the third year of high school now, and there are still people transferring." The boy said, "I saw it with my own eyes. He's still a man, and he's in Teacher Wang's office now. I guess he's going to be transferred to our class." People with good deeds walked out excitedly. Go and have a look." I heard that the transfer students were boys, and some girls also followed with great interest. It didn't take long for these people to crowd into the corridor again, and Su's voice came over, "That boy is so tall, is he 180? More than 180. Isn't that Hu Xin from the third class downstairs? He is 180, and he is a little shorter next to him. Why did he leave? Didn't he say transfer students? Didn't he come to class today? He got in the car, shit. That car is his? Rolls-Royce, the license plate is flashy, 5SIXS, awesome, really a 6. Mom, are you serious? Fu Erday, I haven't seen Fu Erday." Xie Chongxing listened and didn't care too much, he was doing eye exercises. He is handsome and has a cool temperament. In fact, many girls like him, but he has a cold personality, and those black eyes are quiet and penetrating, and conscious girls don't dare to look at him, they only dare to look at him. At this time, go see him secretly. Zhang Xinyu quietly took out her mobile phone and took a profile view of Xie Chongxing. In the photo, he showed his clean jawline and tall nose bridge, and his fingers that were extraordinarily fair and slender in the face of the light. It's like a perfect piece of art. After Zhang Xinyu enjoyed it herself, she still felt that it was not enough, and even posted it on the school forum. LZ0L, I said he is the school grass of our school, no one has any opinion? Because the get out of class just ended, many students were playing with their mobile phones, so Zhang Xinyu quickly received a reply. Kitty 1L, can you post a photo showing your face? Can't see face. 2L, handsome, this hand is really amazing. 3L, the hands are absolutely +1, the fingers are still very long, and the eyelashes are so thick, so beautiful. The building was quickly covered up, Zhang Xinyu only picked the first floor to reply, and LZ replied to Kitty, it's hard, he's too sensitive, so he can only take pictures secretly. Taking a frontal shot will block his face, but he can't take a high-definition frontal face. Zhang Xinyu exited the forum and looked at the previous candid photos, and sure enough, none of them were front faces. The one with the highest clarity was the side face she took with a high-piled book as a cover when Xie Chongxing entered the classroom. It was amazing, Zhang Xinyu almost drooled when she saw it. When the class bell rang, Zhang Xinyu hurriedly uploaded this photo to the forum. Xiexian's No. 5 middle school is also an old high school in City A. The teacher's capital is very good, and it once surpassed the previous Big Brother No. 1 middle school, but Nanyang has recruited many senior teachers since a few years ago. The admission rate and student source of the number 5 middle schools have dropped significantly by several percentage points. Xie Ziyan had good grades when he entered the exam, but this year his grades have regressed a lot. When the monthly exam results came out this time, he dropped another 50 places, and now he is 556th in the whole school. Xie Ziyan was very anxious, and if he retreated, old man Zhang might have to call him his parents. At that time, the lies he and his parents told will also be exposed. Xie Ziyan didn't think it was his own problem either. He was smart, and he went to the best schools in elementary and junior high schools, ranking among the best. Now that he has regressed so much, it is naturally the school's problem. It's all to blame that Nanyang poached too many teachers from number 5 middle school, which caused his grades to drop. Xie Ziyan thought of Nanyang, and his heart was twisted. Xie Chongxing was so lucky that he could let a teacher pay for his tuition to study in Nanyang. His grades were not as good as his, and studying in Nanyang was in vain. How nice to go to Nanyang! The more Xie Ziyan thought about it, the more uncomfortable he felt. He happened to be wronged by the teacher. After class, he called Xie Qiuxu. As soon as the call was connected, he shouted loudly, "Dad! I want to go to Nanyang. Not going to school." Xie Qiuxu didn't expect him to come here suddenly. He wiped the cement in his hand and said, "What are you talking about? You are studying well now, what school should you change to?" Xie Ziyan shouted, "I don't care, you can ask yourself, how many teachers have been poached by Nanyang in this school? I can't understand what the teacher is talking about in class now, he won't teach at all. If I can take the 985 exam, I won't even be able to take one of the exams after being delayed like this." Xie Qiuxu was taken away immediately. "Is it really that serious?" Xie Ziyan said, "Of course it's serious. I don't care, Dad, I'll ask you, do you want to honor your ancestors? Do you want me to give you a face? Give us the face of Lao Xie's parents? Help me transfer schools if you want. I'm going to Nanyang." Xie Qiuxu was moved, but he was very embarrassed. The school costs 9,000 tuition fees per semester, how can you afford it? Xie Ziyan said, "Didn't the old woman help Xie Chongxing pay for tuition? It's been 2 years, can I change it for 1 year? I'm no worse than Xie Chongxing. Tell her." Xie Qiuxu hesitated, "It's different, she's in her 30s, she's not married and has no children, she probably treats your brother as a son, you can put it right." Xie Ziyan shouted, "I don't care. Go and tell her that I'm not worse than Xie Chongxing, why can't he do me? You tell her that she helps me pay for my tuition and living expenses, I can recognize her as a godmother, and she will give me some money and pick me up as a godson for nothing, she will not disagree, you should ask her quickly." Xie Qiuxu said, "All right, I'll call her and ask." Xie Ziyan just hung up the phone when the class bell rang. His head teacher, Zhang Gexin, came out of the corner and bumped into Xie Ziyan. Seeing that he was standing in the corridor with a mobile phone in his hand, he said with a stern face, "Why are you standing here, stupid? Why don't you go to class?" Xie Ziyan responded in a low voice, and was about to leave when Zhang Gexin stopped him again. "Xie Ziyan, let me catch you playing games at night, and I will invite your parents over." Xie Ziyan's heart skipped a beat, and quickly said, "Teacher will not have a next time." Zhang Xingxin said, "Go to class." Xie Ziyan ran away immediately. After school in the afternoon, Xie Chongxing was called to the office by Wang Yuxiu. As soon as Xie Chongxing walked into the door of the office, he felt that the eyes of several teachers in the office fell on him, with obvious pity in their eyes. Xie Chongxing paused, lowered his eyes, walked to Wang Yuxiu's side, and whispered, "Mr. Wang." Wang Yuxiu glanced at the others, and then looked at Xie Chongxing. She considered her tone, and in the shortest words, told Xie Qiuxu's search for her. Xie Chongxing was not surprised when he heard it. In fact, if he hadn't teamed up with Wang Yuxiu and lied to deceive the family, he might not even be able to go to high school. He never had any expectations for Xie Qiuxu and the others. Even if he did, he would no longer expect it at his age. Wang Yuxiu when, my side refused very strongly, but I am afraid that he will find the school and come to the school, then. She didn't finish what she said, but Xie Chongxing also knew what she didn't mean. In fact, the place is so big, it is not easy to hide it for 2 years, and it is reasonable to hide it. Wang Yuxiu said, you have good grades, and it's no problem to recommend King Bei. You and your parents have a good chat, maybe things will turn around. Xie Chongxing shook his head, it's useless. No matter how good he is, Xie Qiuxu and the others will only find it annoying. Xie Ziyan is 1 year younger than him, but they are at the same level. In elementary school, Xie Ziyan passed the 70 or 80 exam, and he passed the double 100 exam. Poke Xie Ziyan's heart, she said any swear words to him who was only 7 years old. He understood at that time that he was excellent, no one in the family would be happy, but it would be an eyesore, so from that time on, he tried his best not to surpass Xie Ziyan and avoid this limelight, and Xiao Shenqiu also deliberately failed the exam and went to the worst township junior high school, and finally performed normally in the senior high school entrance examination, and was admitted to Nanyang Middle School. Because of their performance over the years, they didn't even doubt that he lied. Wang Yuxiu and Xie Qiuxu have dealt with Xie Qiuxu many times. From each of his conversations, he can also see what kind of person the other party is. He is masculine and shows good face. The truth, Xie Chongxing should be able to continue to study, but the scholarship is probably not available. If there is still trouble at school, the scene will not look good. Wang Yuxiu had no choice but to let their father and son communicate privately. Xie Chongxing also clearly understood that this matter could only be solved by himself. He bid farewell to Wang Yuxiu and returned to the classroom. There was obvious irritability in his eyes, and his mood was no longer calm. There was a flash of light in the corner of the eye, and he didn't care. Zhong Yiming sat beside him and asked him in a low voice, "Is there something wrong with Mr. Wang looking for you?" Xie Chongxing suppressed the emotions in his eyes and said calmly, "It's nothing." Zhong Yiming glanced at his face and asked in a low voice, "Is there really nothing wrong?" Xie Chongxing said, "It's fine." He doesn't like to confide in others about himself. Zhang Xinyu edited the latest photo and uploaded it to the forum. The post she posted before has become a tall building, and in order to maintain the popularity, she continued to update Xie Chongxing's photos. LZ301L, Picture can't our school organize a school grass selection? He is the leader. Quickly build below 302L, these pictures are so clear Wakaka, this face is absolutely stunning, so white, you can't even see the pores. What class do you belong to, sir? I want to come and take a look. 303L, upstairs, I'm in the first year of high school. This is the senior of the third year of high school. There is a building every year, and every year I ask which class is it. 309L, so beautiful, licking her face. 317L, the landlord will post a few more photos. Modo, I have already saved them all, and I must let my little sisters see his photos. Zhang Xinyu happily exited her post, and flipped through the following posts. No floor was as tall as her, and she couldn't help but feel even more proud. This is the first time she has received so much attention. So happy. In the dormitory of number 5 middle school, Jin Rui received a photo from her sister Jin Kui, who was studying in Nanyang. Jin Kui said in a triumphant tone, "This is the school grass of our school. Does your school have a school grass? Is he handsome?" Jin Rui zoomed in on the photo and looked at it very carefully before replying, "It's all right." Jin Kui, is it all right? Jin Kui, picture Jin Kui, look carefully at the picture before you speak. Jin Rui, it's just normal. Jin Kui was annoyed, "It's normal to let you shit?" Is there no other man in your eyes except your stupid boyfriend? Jin Rui said, what swear words are you talking about? Be careful, I take a screenshot and tell my mother. Jin Kui's tone softened immediately, I'll give you another chance, be honest and trust your inner voice. There are so many tall and handsome guys in this world, why should you find a second-class disabled boyfriend? Jin Rui took a closer look at her newly sent pictures, and suddenly asked, don't you think your school grass is a bit like my boyfriend? Jin Kui, bah, your stupid boyfriend deserves to be compared with him? If you don't pee and take pictures of yourself, Zhu Beiji looks like him. Jin Rui, children, don't swear. Jin Kui said, I'm telling the truth. Jin Rui said, it's just a little bit similar, Xie Xian is really not as good looking as him. Jin Kui said happily, then you break up with Xie Xian, and I will help you get a call from this little brother. Before Jin Rui could answer, Xie Xian called. Jin Rui hesitated and answered. Wife, do you have any money? Lend me 50 first. Jin Rui said, I borrowed you 300 before, but you haven't paid me back. Xie Xian said angrily, do you have to be so close to me? Well, are you getting along with others? No wonder you've been so indifferent to me recently. It turns out that someone outside. Seeing that he was getting more and more outrageous, Jin Rui had to interrupt him, I didn't mean that, I'm in the dormitory now, come here, I'll go down and give it to you. Xie Xian's tone changed suddenly, I knew that my wife is the best to me, and my wife loves you. Jin Rui tidied up her clothes, sighed, left the bedroom, and went downstairs. As soon as she left, several people in the dormitory chatted, Jin Rui's boyfriend asked her to borrow money again, tisk, she really dares to borrow it. She's so short of men, so cheap. At the door of the bedroom, Jin Rui gave Xie Xian a $50 bill and asked, why are you borrowing money? Xie Xian replied, by car, I'm going to Nanyang to find someone. Jin Rui asked, who are you looking for? Xie Xian said, I have something to do with someone. After speaking, he said mysteriously, if I succeed, I may have to transfer to Nanyang. Jin Rui was surprised, is it still a transfer in the third year of high school? High school is hard to turn around. Xie Xian didn't talk to her, he waved his hand, turned around and left. Jin Rui turned around and told Jin Kui about this, and asked her to take care of Xie Xian over there. Jin Kui sneered, take care of a fart, a teenager, and you want to be his mother. Jin Rui sent her a red envelope, please. Jin Kui accepted the money and reluctantly agreed. According to Jin Rui's request, Jin Kui went to the school gate to wait for Xie Xian when he was about to arrive. Nanyang High School's guards are not strict, as long as they don't look like they are mixed with society, they are usually let in. Xie Xian was handsome, and the guard didn't even move his when he sat on the chair. Jin Kui looked at Xie Xian, who was a little shorter than her, with a look of disgust in her eyes, Xie Xian, this way. When Xie Xian saw her, he strode over, looked Jin Kui up and down, and said, you two sisters really look alike. Jin Kui rolled his eyes, of course the twins look alike. Xie Xian's eyes fell on her chest, which was bigger than Jin Rui, and Jin Kui asked loudly in disgust, who are you looking for? Hurry back to your 5th middle school when you're done. Xie Xian heard her tone very bad, and said unhappily, I'm your brother-in-law anyway, what tone are you talking about, do you know how to be polite, do you have tutoring, your parents didn't teach you, right? Jin Kui was so angry that he almost fell down, brother-in-law, he deserves it too. Stop talking nonsense, who the are you looking for? If you don't hurry up, I'll let the guards chase you out. Xie Xian was too lazy to talk nonsense with her, Xie Chongxing, I'm looking for Xie Chongxing, which class is he in? Jin Kui was stunned for a moment, and his tone gradually calmed down, what are you looking for him for? Xie Xian raised his chest and said, he is my brother, I have something to do with him. Jin Kui looked at him up and down and sneered, "Brother." Xie Ziyan felt her sarcasm and said annoyed, "What are you laughing at?" Jin Kui said, "No, it's really a real brother. That's really a good bamboo shoot. Why didn't your brother's good genes give you a little bit? This is too big, right?" As soon as these words came out, Xie Ziyan's blood rushed to his brain. "What did you say?" Jin Kui said, "I said that your brother is much better than you. He is taller and better looking than you. Oh, by the way, his academic performance is also better than you. He is the first in the grade, and our school is the first in the grade." "First, what is the concept? You went to Tsinghua University in the first year of the last senior year of senior high school. Your brother is also Tsinghua University and Peking University. Your school was good in the past few years, but it is completely useless in recent years, right? And it's up to you the ranking of more than 500 years, more than 500 domestic colleges, 2 or 3 are up to you to choose also. Let me tell you the truth, my sister is going to go abroad after the college entrance examination. Of course, she should not have told you, after all, she gave you foolish giant baby is getting carried away with being a mother, and it's normal not to tell you. I hope you have a little self-awareness, don't want to eat swan meat. If it is your brother, I will approve it with both hands. If it is not the age, I will directly dismiss the civil affairs if the bureau moved in to let them get married. Forget about your words, I'm afraid that my nephew will become a second-class crippled with a genetic defect in the future." Her vicious words smashed into Xie Ziyan's ears like a steel cannon, making Xie Ziyan dizzy, but he didn't have the strength to reply, because Jin Kui's words kept echoing in his mind. "Your brother's first grade. Tsinghua University, Peking University." Xie Ziyan's face became extremely ugly. "Xie Chongxing is the first in the grade." Jin Kui breathed a sigh of relief, listened to what he said, and raised his eyebrows. "Yes. He is the first in the grade. Every year he is the first in his grade, and he receives scholarships every year. He is obviously a brother, so why is there so much difference? Are you sure you are biological?" Xie Ziyan also stopped mentioning the matter of looking for Xie Chongxing. With an ugly face, he turned around and left. Jin Kui raised his lips and said loudly, "Didn't you say you want to find your brother? Didn't you?" Xie Ziyan ignored her and quickly disappeared outside the school gate. Jin Kui took out her mobile phone and sent a message to Jin Rui, "Sister, you must have never thought that your stupid boyfriend came to Nanyang to find the school grass of my school." "Jin Rui." Jin Kui said, "It's true. Didn't you say that the two of them are a bit similar?" "Although I didn't see it," Xie Ziyan said that the school grass is his brother, which is outrageous. "Is there anything similar between the two?" "Jin Kui, I heard that the school grass family is very poor. They order vegetarian food in the school cafeteria. They don't have a lot of new clothes. They wear school uniforms all year round." "But didn't that Xie Ziyan say that the family is quite rich?" Jin Rui asked, "What do you want to say?" Jin Kui said, "It means that there is a big problem." Jin Rui, "What's the problem?" Jin Kui said calmly, "I have to think again." Jin Rui. "Tomorrow is Saturday," Xie Qiuxu called and asked Xie Chongxing to go home. Xie Chongxing seems to have a hunch about what will happen when he returns home. Wang Yuxiu asked him, "Do you want me to go back with you?" Xie Chongxing shook his head, "I can solve it myself, thank you teacher." The young man is only 18 years old, and his posture is straight and upright, like green bamboo after the rain, fresh and soft and moist, which makes people feel a kind of beautiful enjoyment at first glance. Wang Yuxiu has a lot of pity for Xie Chongxing like this. She is 37 years old this year. She is unmarried and has no children. She is used to living alone, but she also thought about having a child. If she wants a child at the age of 19, even now, he is as big as Xie Chongxing. Wang Yuxiu felt that there was some water vapor in her glasses. She took off her glasses, wiped it with a tissue, and said to him, "Then I'll take you back." Afraid of Xie Kongxing's rejection, Wang Yuxiu continued, "I have an aunt at your house. I'll go see him and take you home by the way." Xie Chongxing stared at Wang Yuxiu and whispered, "Thank you." Xie Kongxing's home is in a small ancient town. Because of government support, it has slowly developed into a tourist attraction in recent years. During holidays, even if it is very remote, there will be many tourists, many of them foreign tourists. If you set up a stall and sell gadgets, you may receive US dollars from foreigners. Xie Chongxing is handsome and tall because of his thinness. Standing there, he is already a very beautiful picture of Jiangnan beauty. And human perception of beauty is common, so Xie Chongxing with such outstanding appearance can easily attract attention. As long as he stands or sits for a while and asks those foreigners to paint a picture, he can receive $10 or $20 bills. If you are far away from home and sell some novel gadgets, those tourists will also be happy to buy it. After such a holiday, he can save a lot of money. He never resented the land that raised him because of his parents' harsh criticism. On the contrary, he liked this ancient town. It took almost an hour to drive from the city to this ancient town because of some traffic jams. By the time we arrived, the sky was already dark. Wang Yuxiu sent Xie Chongxing to the door of his house. Seeing the closed door, he was a little worried and asked in a low voice, "Can you be alone?" Xie Chongxing nodded, "Yes." Wang Yuxiu didn't say anything, she turned around and drove away. Xie Chongxing watched her go away, and only turned around and knocked on the door until he could no longer see the shadow of the car. The door opened soon, and it was Xie Xian's door. Unusually, he didn't make a fuss, but stared straight at Xie Chongxing. Xie Chongxing glanced at him, then quickly looked away and walked into the door. Xie Xian said, "Mom asked you to fetch water, but the water in the tank has run out." Xie Chongxing listened without saying a word. He put the school bag in the small room on the balcony, found the pole and bucket, and turned to go outside. As soon as the others left, Xie Xian entered his small balcony. This balcony is very small, and it may be less than 4 levels. There is a bed made of wooden boards and long benches, with blue and white sheets and a thin quilt. Because the weather is humid, Xie Xian does not touch it with his hands, he knows that the quilt should have been wet. Xie Xian pouted, his eyes fell on his school bag, he reached out and grabbed his school bag, and began to rummage. The school bag is full of textbooks and some clean papers, which should be homework for the weekend. But apart from these, Xie Xian did not find any papers in his school bag that had been corrected by the teacher, which was a bit unreasonable clean. Xie Xian's heart was beating wildly. He couldn't help biting his nails. If Xie Chongxing was really that powerful, why didn't he say it? Why did he hide his grades? If parents knew Xie Kongxing's grades were so good, would they still hate him? At that time, will Xie Chongxing replace him and become the favorite person of his parents? No, it can't be like this. Xie Xian took a deep breath and said to himself, "I can't let my parents know how good Xie Kongxing's grades are." He quickly packed Xie Kongxing's school bag and turned to go out. Unexpectedly, Xie Chongxing was standing at the door, and he was shocked. Xie Chongxing looked at him quietly, "What are you doing here?" Xie Xian patted his chest and said angrily, "You care what I'm doing here? Are you standing here on purpose to scare me? You are so vicious." Xie Chongxing said, "This is my room." Xie Xian sneered, "Just this broken balcony, and you are the room, who is rare." After speaking, he pushed Xie Chongxing away heavily and left. Xie Chongxing returned to his room, took out the change box, opened it, and glanced at it. The few yuan of change in it was still there. He stood there for a while, opened his school bag, and at a glance, he knew that his school bag had been passive. What can be done? Xie Chongxing thought to himself. At the end of the weekend, Xie Chongxing went back to school. Wang Yuxiu went to the classroom to look for him immediately and asked caringly, Did your parents embarrass you? Xie Chongxing shook his head. Xie Zian didn't stand by, and Xie Qiuoxu didn't even bother to talk to him, so this weekend was a rare calm. Wang Yuxiu breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, it's all right, you go to read early. Xie Chongxing returned to the classroom. Not long after he sat down, there was another voice of Wang Yuxiu talking to others. Xie Chongxing's eyes fell to the door. From his angle, he could see that a tall boy was talking to Wang Yuxiu, but he couldn't see his face clearly. Xie Chongxing didn't care, he lowered his head and concentrated on reading the textbook silently. It's just that after a while, there was another gasp in the class, followed by chattering voices. The disciplinary committee clapped the table to maintain discipline. Don't talk, just read it to me early. The rustling voice dropped. Xie Chongxing closed his eyes and recited English words silently, completely ignoring it. As soon as the get out of class bell rang, the classroom was like a frying pan, and it boiled instantly. Damn, transfer student, really transferred to our class. He still stands out from the crowd when he sits at the back. What do you mean, Zhao Zixi, who are you saying is a chicken? He's not necessarily that tall. The Fu Donglin before our class is also 185 centimeters tall. He is at most 1 or 2 centimeters taller than Fu Donglin. Then now that Fu Donglin isn't there, isn't that the highest transfer student? The classroom was so noisy that Xie Chongxing had to raise his face. Among the many familiar classmates, he finally saw an unfamiliar face in the last row. At this time, a transfer student? Xie Chongxing slipped a faint question in his heart, and suddenly, the other party turned his face and looked at him. Xie Chongxing blinked his eyes slightly, and the other party immediately stood up, bypassing a few people and walking towards him. Why didn't you call me? He stood in front of Xie Chongxing and said that. Xie Chongxing stared at him without speaking. Qin's Hongaiu looked at his eyes as if he was looking at a stranger, and said angrily, You won't forget me, will you? Xie Chongxing opened his lips slightly. Who are you? Qin's Hongaiu, you really forgot me. What a ruthless boy. Qin's Hongaiu stretched out his hand and picked up the collar of Zhou Quan's neck. Classmate, get up first, I have something to talk to this classmate about. Zhou Quan, classmate, if you have something to say, let go of my collar. He stood up quickly and gave Qin's Hongaiu his seat. Qin's Hongaiu propped up the table and sat down slowly. He had a new hairstyle today, put on 2 face masks, and sprayed on perfume. He was very sure that he must be full of the handsomeness of a mature man now. And flavor. But looking at Xie Chongxing's expression now, he is a little uncertain again. Hadn't his heroic appearance that day really left him the slightest impression? Qin's Hongaiu felt a little aggrieved. Don't you really remember me? I met you at the Jinyu Hotel last time, and I wrote you a phone number and asked you to come to me if you have any business. Xie Chongxing frowned slightly. Qin's Hongaiu looked at him eagerly. Do you remember? Xie Chongxing looked at him and said suddenly, It's you. Yes, it's me. Qin's Hongaiu saw that he finally remembered, and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He was so handsome and not a popular face, Xie Chongxing had no reason to forget him. Qin's Hongaiu remembered the phone and asked, Why didn't you call me? Xie Chongxing asked, Why should I call you? Qin's Hongaiu glared at him. Why are you asking? Is there any reason to call me? Don't you just call me if you want? Xie Chongxing. Qin's Hongaiu said, Didn't I tell you to call me if you have anything? His persistence made Xie Chongxing feel a little exploratory. I'm fine. Qin's Hongaiu was silent for a few seconds because he had just lost his words, and said, Then I can rest assured. Xie Chongxing hinted, It's almost time for class. Qin's Hongaiu's eyes twitched on his handsome face, and his voice softened a little. How old are you? Xie Chongxing glanced at him. 18. Qin's Hongaiu said, It's a coincidence, I'm also 18. My birthday is January 16th. How about you? Xie Chongxing replied, I don't know. Qin's Hongaya was dissatisfied, who are you lying to, who doesn't know his birthday, even if you lie, make a draft and take a snack. Xie Chongxing looked at him, October 22. Qin's Hongaya clapped his hands excitedly, then I'm older than you, so let's take me as a brother, and I'll cover you in the future. Xie Chongxing did not speak. Qin's Hongaya said, that's it. He happily reached into his pocket and took out a watch, it's made in Switzerland, I just got it, a gift for my brother, you're welcome. He reached out and grabbed Xie Chongxing's hand and was about to put it on him. Inexplicable. Xie Chongxing pulled out his hand and said indifferently, no, thank you. When Qin's Hongaya saw him draw his hands, he subconsciously felt a little unhappy. Why didn't he let them touch them? He could touch them any way he wanted. Qin's Hongaya quickly put this emotion behind him, you have white wrists and distinct joints. This watch looks good. Although it's a women's watch, it's not suitable for you to wear a men's watch at your age, so it looks good. Xie Chongxing felt that this person had no sense of proportion. Even if he didn't take a closer look, the tactile texture of his fingers just now showed that this watch was not cheap. It is really inexplicable that he gave such a precious gift to a person he just met. Xie Chongxing ignored him. Just as the class bell rang, Zhou Chuan squeezed in and said, class is over, brother. Qin's Hongaya took out 100 yuan bill, change the table. Zhou Chuan immediately took the money and said with a smile, brother. I'm over. Xie Chongxing's eyelids kept twitching. Qin's Hongaya was still muttering, it's really pretty, why don't you? The words he said to Xie Chongxing and the things he did were seen by the classmates in the class, and he remembered that Qin's Hongaya had transferred to another school to ride in a luxury car, and knew that he was a real rich second generation. As soon as he said this, the male classmate behind Xie Chongxing came over with a shy face, brother, I'm also your younger brother, do I have a greeting? Qin's Hongaya glanced at him, then took out 100 yuan bill and handed it back, brother, be good. The male classmate smiled instantly, thank you brother. Today you are my brother. Xie Chongxing's eyelids jumped even more. With the precedent of the back table, even though the preparation bell rang, many boys still shouted, good brother, take a look at my brother. My brother also wants a piece of my brother's heart and love. Hello, brother, you are my brother from today on. Brother. Brother. Good brother. The younger brother can do it, so can the younger sister. I beg the elder brother to see the younger sister. Qin's Hongaya was very happy, pulled out all the cash in the wallet and sprinkled it in the air, you're welcome, please have dinner. Xie Chongxing's eyelids almost caught fire. The dean suddenly appeared at the door, what's the noise? Don't you know the preparation bell rang? Most of the class was still bending over to pick up money, and when they heard the dean's words, they hurriedly sat up straight. The dean of education took a closer look and saw that many students were still holding banknotes in their hands, and turned to ask the female classmate at the door, what's going on? The girl said enviously, the new classmates are giving everyone money. The dean stared, what? Send money. 10 minutes later, the money that Qin's Hongaya spilled out, under the supervision of the dean of the school and Wang Yuxiu, was taken back in small amounts. The dean of education handed the thick stack of banknotes to Qin's Hongaya and said solemnly, this is not a small amount. I hope you take good care of it and don't spend it casually. Today's students really don't know how hard it is to earn money, and they throw away tens of thousands at will, who can do it? The dean looked at Qin's Hongaya with a burning gaze, and he had only seen him for so many years. Qin's Hongaya did not have the bad habits of disrespecting teachers in his circle. He nodded and said obediently, good teacher. After the dean left, Qin's Hongaya sat next to Xie Chongxing. Wang Yuxiu looked at it for a while, and said, Qin's Hongaya, your seat is at the back. Qin's Hongaihu said, "Teacher, I want to sit here." Wang Yuxiu said, "If you sit here, the classmates behind will not be able to see." Before she finished speaking, the male students in the row behind Qin's Hongaihu all said in unison, "It's okay, teacher, we can see the blackboard." Wang Yuxiu. Xie Chongxing turned his head away and looked out the window. Good bunch of money slaves. After class, Qin's Hongaihu took out the thick stack of banknotes again and said, "Come in line, my brother will give you money." Many people cheered. Really lined up one by one to take the banknotes in Qin's Hongaihu's hand. Xie Chongxing did not look at it, but threw his body and mind into the ocean of knowledge to help him resist the corrosion of capital. Almost 100 yuan was issued to some of the classmates, but most of them were taken by boys, and the girls were thin-skinned and didn't feel embarrassed to go up. However, looking at the thickness of the last stack of money, it is conservatively estimated that there should be 2,000 or 3,000 in the stack at the beginning. Teenage high school students actually take 20,000 to 30,000 yuan in cash to the school? Is this normal? No, it's not. This is the boy who saved the hardships and lost money. At this moment, in the eyes of everyone, Qin's Hongaihu is simply brilliant. At this moment, everyone is the slave of money. Qin's Hongaihu rolled up the remaining roll of banknotes and said, "Okay, go back to your seat." He turned his head to look at Xie Chongxing, and said triumphantly, "I saved some for you, take it." After finishing speaking, Qin's Hongaihu put the roll of banknotes on Xie Chongxing's table. The rolled-up banknotes instantly bloomed like flower buds. Xie Chongxing only glanced at it, then quickly opened his eyes, and said in a light tone, "No." Qin's Hongaihu asked, "Everyone else has it, don't you want it?" He was a little depressed. He remembered that Xie Chongxing liked cash the most. Xie Chongxing has a very strange hobby. He keeps a thick stack of cash in his wallet all the year round. He sends him pocket money every day, and insists on giving him cash without going through Alipay and WeChat. In addition to loving cash, Qin's Hongaihu couldn't think of any other reason. It was because of this that he brought cash. Qin's Hongaihu is very proud. He has a great advantage. He knows all Xie Chongxing's preferences and habits. Now the initiative is on his side. Qin's Hongaihu looks very handsome. His grandfather is German, so he has a quarter of German ancestry, which is reflected in his cold white skin and deep facial features. His eyelashes are dark and thick, and his double eyelids are clear and light, which makes him those eyes are also extraordinarily bright, like a stream that can see the end at a glance. With such a pair of eyes, it is difficult for people to believe that he is a scheming person, but it may make people suspect that he is a fool. In short, Qin's Hongaihu's appearance is a very pure and handsome. Appearance is one aspect, and Xie Chongxing was a little disgusted by his casual wealth distribution. Qin's Hongaihu didn't know that he had already offended him, and was still complacent with his own scheming. He said in an easy-going tone, "I thought you were kind when I first saw you, and I think the two of us have a good relationship. Destiny, I recognized you as a younger brother today, so you are really welcome, you follow me, and there will be more benefits in the future." Xie Chongxing's eyelids jumped again. Qin's Hongaihu was stunned by his speech. "Well, you also accept this watch?" Xie Chongxing said, "I really don't need it, thank you." Because of his joy, Qin's Hongaihu looked a little pretty when he stared at people. "I really don't want it." Xie Chongxing said, "No." Qin's Hongaihu's eyes fell on Xie Chongxing's somewhat rounded cheeks. No matter how he looked at it, he felt a little itchy in his heart. He wanted to reach out and squeeze his face, and it looked like it was easy to squeeze. He didn't dare to pinch Xie Chongxing's face before, he put his mind elsewhere, and he didn't seem so persistent about Xie Chongxing's rejection. Seeing Qin's Hongaihu put the watch and cash back in his pocket, Xie Chongxing withdrew his gaze. Qin's Hongaihu came over again and stretched out his knuckled palm. "Do you smell it? Does my body smell good?" As early as when he sat next to him, Xie Chongxing smelled the fragrance on his body, very light, like the woods in the early morning, with the fragrance of hazelnuts and green grass, and there was a subtle sweetness in the clearness. It smells good, but he bluntly asked him if there was something wrong with his fragrance. A high school boy, would he care so much about his fragrance? Xie Chongxing didn't know what to think in his heart, but on the face, he said, Xiang. Qin's Honghaihu took out a small bottle of perfume from his pocket and said, I'll give it to you. It's a small brand in France. I want to buy it in France, and you like it. Xie Chongxing wanted to refuse, but Qin's Honghaihu shoved it directly into his hands. After that, he hesitated for a while, and grabbed Xie Kongxing's hand hard. Xie Kongxing's eyelids trembled slightly, he looked up at Qin's Honghaihu, his lips moved slightly, and he wanted to open his mouth to let him go. However, the faster Qin Zhong was, he opened his mouth first, only to hear his tone full of surprise, Why are your hands so rough? Xie Chongxing. Qin's Honghaihu said something, but still refused to stop. Why are you so rough, so hard? What are you doing? As he spoke, he squeezed Xie Kongxing's hand again, grabbed him and opened his palm to take a look, only to find that Xie Kongxing's palm and finger pulp had faint calluses. The eldest young master who does not eat human fireworks. Xie Chongxing thought. He drew his hand, but couldn't get it out. Seeing Qin's Honghaihu touching and pinching a cocoon as if he had never seen it before, he couldn't help but be a little speechless. What do you think this is a cocoon for? Qin's Honghaihu suddenly raised his eyes to look at him, his eyes glowing brightly, and he lowered his voice and asked, Did you practice guns? Xie Chongxing. Qin Zhong smiled narrowly, I understand, it's very, very normal for you to have big desires at your age. I'm basically doing it every 2 or 3 days now. As he spoke, he suddenly remembered their bed affairs, and his heart throbbed. No wonder Xie Chongxing is very sexual and lustful, and pesters him to do it every day. It turns out that he has been like this since he was a child. It is so, it is so. Qin's Honghaihu's eyes revealed a kind of comprehension that could see through Xie Chongxing. This clear look made Xie Kongxing's eyelids jump, his lips moved, and he wanted to explain, but Qin's Honghaihu felt that he already knew the answer, so he put down Xie Kongxing's hand and patted his shoulder. He whispered in his ear, 1 drop of essence and 10 drops of blood. Scientific research has shown that too much has slowed down the growth. I have almost grown, it doesn't matter if I do more, but you have to be a little bit more restrained, quit now, and you can still grow at least 5 centimeters. Xie Chongxing. He said calmly, Thanks for the reminder, but let me clarify, it's not what you think. Qin's Honghaihu looked sincere, Don't worry, I will keep it a secret, you don't have to worry that I will say it out, it's not a sin for a man to be lewd and evil. Xie Chongxing waved to him gently, his beautiful eyes glowing with a faint brilliance, Come here, I have something to tell you. Qin's Honghaihu was now so close to Xie Chongxing, only a palm away, he can clearly see Xie Kongxing's tender eyebrows, his fair face with a little baby fat facing the morning light, plated with a faint layer of soft light made it even more beautiful and delicate. He couldn't help but be fascinated by it. Xie Chongxing saw him staring straight at him and didn't move, so he approached him slightly. Qin's Honghaihu looked at the enlarged face in front of him, his heart jumped, and he immediately turned aside, What are you doing? When Xie Chongxing saw his reaction, he sat back again and said in a flat tone, I want to whisper to you. Qin's Honghaihu's face flushed slightly, his heart was beating fast, he swallowed, and he suspected that Xie Chongxing was trying to seduce him, but he had no evidence and lowered his head hesitantly, You say. Xie Chongxing looked at his red ears, raised his eyebrows slightly, leaned over, and said in his ear, I'll tell you a secret. Qin's Honghaihu's ears moved a little sensitively, but he resisted not moving. Xie Chongxing stopped for a while and continued, The calluses on my hands only appear when I hold a handle all the year round. Qin's Honghaihu also lowered his voice and asked in a breathy voice, Is there any? How many? Xie Chongxing was in his ear, and his tone was suddenly cold. No, it's a gun. Qin's Honggaihu. He turned his head to look at Xie Chongxing, his eyes suddenly frightened. Xie Chongxing whispered, actually, I am an agent trained by an underground organization. He raised his eyes again, stared at Qin's Honggaihu and said, the cocoon in my hand is indeed trained with guns. But it's not Jiji, it's a real gun, a gun that kills people. Qin's Honggaihu. Qin's Honggaihu sat up straight in an instant, opened a few centimeters away from Xie Chongxing, and was as quiet as a chicken. Seeing his reaction, Xie Chongxing couldn't help raising the corners of his lips, revealing a faint smile. The ear was finally quiet. It didn't take long for Qin's Honggaihu to approach him again and asked cautiously, are you really a special agent? Xie Chongxing also answered cautiously, it's genuine, and the old man is not deceived. Qin's Honggaihu thought to himself, no wonder he was so ruthless and dictatorial in his predecessors. It turned out that he was trained and professional. Xie Chongxing said, please help me keep this secret. Qin's Honggaihu nodded cautiously, I will guard your secrets like I guard my virginity. Xie Chongxing, it's not necessary. After a while, Qin's Honggaihu asked cautiously again, excuse me, let me ask you another question. Xie Chongxing looked at him, his eyes still calm. Qin's Honggaihu said cautiously, then did you kill someone? Xie Chongxing turned his eyes away and said calmly, 1. Qin's Honggaihu. He dared not speak again. Xie Chongxing took out another paper from the drawer with satisfaction and started to make it. That night, Qin's Honggaihu called Li Jun. Li Jun was noisy and said, wait a minute. When I walked to a quiet place, I asked, what's wrong? You just transferred for a day, and you want to come back. Qin's Honggaihu said, no. He sorted out his complicated feelings, and then asked seriously, Li Jun, do you understand the profession of a secret agent? Li Jun, hey. How can I find an agent's boss behind the scenes? Can I free the agent if I give it money? Li Jun. Li Jun thought numbly, why didn't he understand what Qin's Honggaihu was talking about in just one day? A few days later, Qin's Honggaihu had already made up with the people in the class. He is good-looking, tall, rich, generous, has a good personality, and is down-to-earth without putting on airs. Whether it's a boy or a girl, he has a lot of topics to talk about with Qin's Honggaihu. In the afternoon, Qin's Honggaihu often went out to play basketball with some boys in the class. During this time, of course, he would talk about Xie Chongxing. Regarding Qin's Honggaihu's inquiries, the boys chatted with me one after another, ask Xie Chongxing, his parents are good-looking and his grades are good, but he is boring and mysterious. When he came to sign up, his parents didn't show up, and he looked very shabby, maybe quite poor. Pharaoh likes him very much, not only Pharaoh, but Do Mingmei, who teaches English, teachers of all subjects like him. Ah, why doesn't Do Mingmei like him? You don't know, Do Mingmei is very snobbish and likes people with money in the family, but shouldn't she be scorned by those who don't have money? Brother Qin, didn't you realize that Do Mingmei was very nice to you? He smiled when he saw you. Chatting about Xie Chongxing, and talking about Do Mingmei, several boys were quite complaining, Do Mingmei's idea of marrying a rich man is almost written on her face. Last year's parent-teacher meeting, she didn't talk to other parents, she just kept going. He was chatting with Fu Donglin's father. Fu Donglin was a sports student, what would he like to chat with his father, and then added WeChat, tisk tisk. Talking about these gossip, these boys spit all over. Qin's Honggaihu was not interested in these things. He pondered what the boy said in front of him, and suddenly remembered that Xie Chongxing's parents and younger brother from his previous life occasionally came to ask for money. At that time, Xie Chongxing had just married him, and Qin Xiangqian gave 10 million to him. As a result, Xie Chongxing didn't give a cent to his family, and even let the bodyguards kick his parents out. When he saw it at the time, he was still very uncomfortable. He asked Qin Xiangqian why he wanted to marry him, a wife who treated his parents harshly. Qin Xiangqian told him not to look at the surface, but to see the essence through the appearance. It's a pity that his eyes didn't see any essence except seeing Xie Chongxing crawling onto his head impatiently to make a fortune. Could it be that the essence of what Qin Xiangqian said was Xie Chongxing's identity? Qin Hongaihu suddenly felt that he might have discovered the truth, and instantly stopped his thoughts of continuing to imagine. Back in the classroom, Qin Hongaihu saw Xie Chongxing sitting upright, with his head lowered slightly, his pure white fingers holding the pen and writing on the test paper for a moment, his face as quiet and beautiful as a picture scroll. Qin Hongaihu thought in a trance, his wife is so beautiful. He woke up instantly. No, he was no longer his wife. A strange emotion appeared in Qin Hongaihu's heart, and his heart seemed to stop for a few seconds because of these words. He walked over and sat beside Xie Chongxing. With this move, Xie Chongxing didn't even look at him. Qin Hongaihu also pretended to pick up the book, flipped it a few times, then closed it again, rested his hands on the table, stared at Xie Chongxing, from his long and delicate eyelashes, to the tall and small bridge of the nose, and then to his plump, rosy lips. His gaze was scorching, and it became more and more impossible to ignore. Xie Chongxing lifted his eyelids, glanced at him, and asked in a low voice, "Is something wrong?" Qin Hongaihu's Adam's apple suddenly slid a few times, and his eyes flashed. When he didn't speak, Xie Chongxing stopped his movements and turned to look at him. 18-year-old Xie Chongxing's eyes were calm and pure, completely lacking the ruthless sharpness of 10 years later, but Qin Hongaihu always felt that he was a sleeping lion. Once awakened, everyone would have to kneel and sing conquest. Qin Hongaihu suddenly had a dry mouth, his eyes flashed across Xie Chongxing's clear eyes, and hurriedly landed on the small round tear mole under Xie Chongxing's left eyelid, and he remembered in a trance that Xie Chongxing had just married when he was on his own. He saw the tear mole moving under the light and couldn't help licking the tear mole. As a result, Xie Chongxing shuddered and closed his eyes, letting him taste a large tear, warm and a little bit salty. Qin Hongaihu originally liked the tear mole, because Xie Chongxing easily shed tears when he licked it. However, after entering the company, he went to click it off. I heard that he felt feminine and made himself not aura. Qin Hongaihu stared at the tear mole, his thoughts drifted far away. Xie Chongxing became a little impatient when he saw that he had been silent, so he turned his face away and continued to write the paper. Qin Hongaihu couldn't see the tear mole before he came back to his senses. He hesitated for a while, then stretched out his hand and poked Xie Chongxing. Xie Chongxing ignored him. Qin Hongaihu poked him again. Xie Chongxing didn't lift his head. "What's the matter?" Qin Hongaihu asked. "Do your agents get paid? How much is a month?" Xie Chongxing.